Hello guys, how are you? I hope you're well. I am well, and today we are making mandazi. This is an East African snack, and it's a flour or a dough product. And I make it using the following ingredients: so self-raising flour, and if you don't have that, you can mix your own with some corn flour, cornstarch, some baking powder, and some baking soda. It just helps in adding the raising agents into the flour. So the main ingredients here we'll be using is flour, milk, butter, and you can use margarine instead, an egg, and some salt, and also sugar. Okay. So I'll be using 3 cups of the self-raising flour, and I'm going to immediately rub in the fat, which is butter, into the flour until it resembles fine breadcrumbs. And to that, we'll add the dry ingredients, which will be sugar, the salt, just before we start adding the wet ingredients. Perfect. All the dry ingredients are mixed in together and including the fat. And now we are going to add our egg. Just one is enough for this amount of flour. And then we'll be adding our milk. Just a cup full is enough. I hadn't made my cup full, and so I had to add a little more of the milk. So a cup full for 3 cups of self-raising flour, 1 egg, that will be adequate liquid. What you're going for is a dough that is a bit sticky, so you don't want it too firm like a chapati dough. No, this one has to be a bit soft and sticky, and even though you'll be needed to knead it a lot just to aerate it and also get every ingredient mixed well together, you need just for it to be a bit sticky. You don't want a firm dough with this one. By the way, this recipe was requested by one of the viewers called Nasreen. Hi, Nasreen. I hope this will be a good recipe for you to try or practice. And we have a mandazi recipe in this channel under the Kenyan breakfast meals. And there's an easier way of making it using water. Not easy, it's just less rich for people who don't like dairy or eggs in their mandazi or in their flour products. So we'll practice that one time, but this one I was just making it for afternoon tea, and I thought it would be a good idea to share with you guys. So as you can see, the dough is still sticky. We'll be adding a bit of flour every now and then just to help along with the kneading. At the end of it, you want it soft but firm, and then we'll let it rest. As with every other flour product, you must let it rest after working it out. This way it aerates and will help you so much when you're cooking your dough. You'll notice the difference. So I've added oil to my pan. This is an ideal pan for cooking mandazi, and I've overturned one of my cake domes to have the bowl and the stand. And as that oil heats up, we'll go back and roll out our dough. It's been like 20 minutes of resting. So I dusted the counter with some flour, and this will help for us to roll without the dough sticking to the surface. So we'll be firm but gentle also with the dough. We just want to roll it out to about less than a 1/4 inch. Yeah, so we want it a bit thick, but not we want it thin but not too thin that it turns into like paper thin when you cook it. We want it to have some doughness to it, and also some space where we can stuff. I'll show you as the serving suggestions. So what I did here is make all the shapes to be triangle. You can make round shapes, you can make square. As once you cut it like that, you can also cut with a cup or a glass shape or a cylindrical shape to get your mandazis round. For me, I decided to just make all into triangles. And so they're ready now. You can actually leave them to rest after cutting, rolling out and cutting like this, but you really don't have to. And as you cook the first ones, the others will be resting. It does show a bit of difference when the dough is well rested. So if you have the time, it's always good to leave the dough to rest for a bit, but this is good enough. So this is one thing you can do if your dough is very thick. Just stretch it out a bit. It doesn't interfere with the rising of the dough. So that's one good thing about mandazi. And I'm just using that tiny ball of dough to check if my oil is hot enough. You want it to be hot, not blazing hot, but you want the heat to be at medium high. And if you put a piece of dough or an impurity and see it rise fast and begin to brown, that is a good time to add the mandazis. So we'll be cooking about 10 to 12 pieces of mandazi each time. So we'll do this 3 times. So the idea when you add your mandazi into the oil is to add it first of all, so that you cook them all at the same time. You will notice the first one that we added is already rising, and in fact, it starts cracking after a bit. So the idea is to just dip the piece under the oil, but it will come up very fast. And if you don't turn it fast enough, it will burst open. So that is why I'm doing this even before the mandazi browns. I like the cracked bit because it gives my mandazis a bit of character. But if you want it smooth, you don't let it stay too long before turning. So I leave mine just enough for them to crack, even though it's not all of them that cracks. But with this recipe, you'll find that happens quite a lot. And once the dough, getting to contact with that hot oil, of course, there'll be that reaction where it swells up and it begins to crack if it's exposed for too long. Some people will keep, splashing some oil on the dough on the top side. That way it gets heated on both sides at the same time. So what I do is turn them as soon as I've added the many I want to add, and then I will turn them immediately before they turn totally brown, and then I will let the underside cook and to this color, golden brown. Then I will turn it to the other side, and once the underside is cooked, they are good to go. Okay, so I just remove them, set them aside, and continue the process until they're all done. This process doesn't take long unless you have too many mandazis, but these ones are just enough. They're about 12 times 3, so about 36 mandazis or so. Actually less, yeah, because some were 11, I think, counting from this batch. So we're gonna repeat that process. Just observe, don't let the heat go too high. Okay, so if it's too high, if you sense that it's too high and the mandazis are turning color too fast, it's good to reduce it for just a bit, less than what you're using. Hey guys, so this is the last batch and I'm loving the color. It's just a little bit over the golden brown, and once I'm done with this, I like to put my hot oil inside the oven until it cools down. That's way it's out of danger zones. Yeah, so this is the first suggestion, and I'm going to serve them like beignets. So you get this French snack that is just like mandazi, but they serve with powdered sugar. For me, I'm actually adding powdered milk, so it's not too sugary. And then with that, I'm going to serve with coffee for my guest. And since the coffee is not ready, I'm going to cut this mandazi up for the second serving suggestion. And you can add a savory to this. You can add, some eggs. This is what I'm going to add, some scrambled eggs. You can add that with salsa, some spinach leaves or salad greens, whatever you like. I'm gonna taste that actually. It looks so delicious. Yeah, so that is how it looks. Really, really yummy. And now that the coffee is ready, we are going to take this out on the deck. We didn't paint our deck this year, but it still looks good. Have some metallic, rusty metallic seats there. And I bet my guest is going to enjoy having their coffee out there. It's fall, the leaves are falling off. It's getting chilly, but it's really a nice setting over here. Just like that, the colors are really cute this year. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you do try this East African snack. It's really worth it. I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.